So we're moving on to section 5.8, which luckily is a lot like section 5.7. The only difference is that the sign right here on the last number is going to be a negative. So, but the process is still the same. So all we really need to do is work some examples. On these problems I'm going to give you, again, there's not going to be a GCF, and I'll tell you how many primes there are, so you'll have an idea. Let's see, let's do x squared minus x minus 20. And put your parenthesis. I do want you to show your crisscross though. Show me your work on these, especially because the signs can get a little bit, they can get wonky, so show your work. All right, now I have an x times an x. This last number, remember that sign, that subtraction sign means that's negative. So that's gonna go with the number. And then the middle number, which here, you gotta be careful, is a -1. So take your time watching the signs. Now I need two numbers that are gonna multiply to -20, add to -1. Well, 2 and 10, like -2 and 10, or 2 and -10, those can multiply to -20, but 2 and 10 cannot make a -1. So I know that I can get 4 times 5 makes 20, and if I make the 5 a negative, then I can add, these two will add to the -1. So then the middle two are what go in the parentheses here, so x plus 4, x minus 5. That's my answer. Okay, second example. X squared plus 29, x minus 30. All right, x times x. And then my last number is -30, watch the sign. The middle number is +29. Well, the only way that I can, I can do 5 times 6 makes 30. I can do 3 times 10 makes 30. But 5 and 6 can't combine to make a 29 in any way. Neither can 3 and 10. So don't forget that there's another way to make a 30. I'm ignoring the sign for just a moment. Don't forget that 1 times 30 makes 30. So 1 times 30, but I need to multiply to a negative. So one of these has to be negative. Keeping in mind I need to add to +29. If I were to make the 30 negative, I would add to a -29. So I have to make the 1 the negative and the 30 the positive. So these two middle ones make the parentheses, so x minus 1, x plus 30. And remember, you can always FOIL out to check. If I were to check it, and I would definitely do this on quizzes and tests, I get x squared plus 30x minus x minus 30. And that'll be x squared plus 29x minus 30. So I'm good. Okay, next, oops, let me turn this over for a minute, hang on. I'm losing my place, there we go. Example 3. Let's do the z squared plus 3z minus 4. Okay, so parenthesis, parenthesis. Z times z makes z squared, crisscross. The -4, don't ignore the negative. +3. Well, a 2 times 2 can make a 4, like 1 can be negative, but 2 and 2 can't make a 3 by addition. So don't forget about 4 times 1 making 4. But now one of them has to be negative to multiply to a negative. And I also need to add to +3. that tells me this one has to be negative because 4 plus negative 1 makes 3. 4 times negative 1 makes negative 4. This section is just a little bit more complicated than the last one because you have to think a little harder on the signs, and that's why I want you to show this step. It's easier to make sign errors in this section. Okay, I don't think we did this one. So x squared plus 2x minus 15. We've got x, we've got x, crisscross, negative 15 goes in the top, positive 2. All right, ways I can make a 15. 1 times 15 can't add in any way to make a 2, so that one's out. Let's try 3 times 5. Now, if I make the 3 the negative, negative 3 times 5 makes negative 15. Negative 3 plus 5 makes positive 2. Those are my numbers. So x minus 3, x plus 5. Okay, and I think, let's see, example 5. Let's do one more here. P squared minus 16pq minus 36q squared. P times P. The only difference with this one is that there's a q on this side, but that's not gonna change anything. There's one thing you're gonna have to remember at the end. You're still gonna put the number, the n number here with the negative sign. The middle number here, and it's negative 16. I'm not putting any letters in the crisscross. Now, thinking of things that can multiply to negative 36, like, I'm ignoring the sign for just a moment, and I can think of 9 times 4 makes 36, but I can't get to a 16 from that. I can do 2 times 18, make one of them negative, but oh, yes I can. I was also thinking we could do 12 times 3, but that's gonna be 15. It's gonna add to a 15. All right, here we go. We need a 2 and an 18. One of them needs to be negative, and because I'm adding to negative 16, I need to make the bigger number the negative. When you're adding to the negative, make sure you make the bigger number the negative. Okay, so I get P minus, now the difference here is that I have to add a Q with my second number because there's a Q here at the end. So it's P, oops, sorry, that's positive 2, Q, negative 18Q. I just added Q's at the end, that's all. And that's my answer. All right, and that's how you do them.